Hey everyone, welcome to SmartCash, SmartTalk Radio, and this is your host today, Chris Zaphoid Karabats. This is episode 3 of SmartCash, SmartTalk Radio, and in this episode, Mark and I interview Lily and John with Anarchaforko about what Anarchaforko is, what SmartCash has to do with it, and what their views are for decentralization and their particular event down in Acapulco in February. I hope you enjoy it. And we have Lily and John with Anarchaforko. Go ahead and introduce yourselves.
Hello. Hi, this is Lily from Anarchaforko. My name is Lily Forrester on Facebook and on the social media, or Lily Divine.
I'm John Galton. You're ready to get John Galt on most social media or Steam it.
We're thrilled to have you guys here. As a quick tie-in, SmartCash has sponsored Anarchaforko. This is the second year going, and we're quite excited to have you here with us and explain to our audience exactly what Anarchaforko is and what your overall worldview is. So I guess I'd like to start off with just a high-level overview of how would you like to introduce our audience to Anarchaforko and tell us what it's about.
Honestly, it all started with why we forked, and there are many reasons why we forked, but the two big ones were to decentralize the conference structure as a whole. And I mean, most crypto enthusiasts seem to be into the idea of decentralization, and why shouldn't they get to pick the schedule? It's kind of a completely different idea because everybody can, with a ticket, can add an event and add as many events as they want, which includes speeches, and it's not up to us to put them on the stage. It's up to them to do it themselves, and it's a different concept, and most people don't understand it yet. And then the other thing is that we are highly supportive of crypto, and we're also trying to be highly supportive of the people that want to do the work by helping us get the word out there and selling tickets. We pay them half of the ticket price back in crypto after the event. So that's our affiliate marketing program for 50%.
Excellent. I'll circle back around to that in a minute. To touch what you said earlier, decentralization, that is a buzzword in the crypto space. And sometimes, it's one of those Rorschach tests that people see in it what they want to see in it. Can you go a little bit deeper into how you are defining decentralization in the context of Anarchaforko?
Well, the idea is, in most conferences, there's generally a couple of people choosing what goes on and when the schedule happens and who speaks and when all of that goes down. Whereas the idea behind Anarchaforko is, whoever is participating by having a ticket is able to do that. And some people will, and most people won't. We found the only people that really go through the trouble are those that actually have something that they're trying to share with the world.
What are some sort of examples of, things that have happened where they're like workshops or parties?
Okay, well, there's everything from workshops to classes. We did a scuba thing last year. The most popular things, there was an eye-gazing workshop. There was a Steam It panel that we did on the last day, because the last day is supposed to be giving Steam It love, the Steam It day. Steam Fest Fork is what we called it last year. So yeah, there's a whole variety of things. This year there's already 3 things on the schedule. That's Carnivore Talk. There's Flynn Johnson's, who's actually an attendee from last year, who decided he was going to share something this year, which is how he built his dream home out of a pile of dirt. There were yoga classes last year. There was a workout session last year. All sorts of different things that people came to the table with.
That sounds really diverse. Is there a common theme?
The idea is to promote a more creative way of doing things. Most people are bound to a speech in these sort of presentation styles, where we encourage people to do everything from talks to comedy skits to question and answers to parties to adventures around the city. We don't really want people to be limited in what they want to do.
So do you guys do any filtering of this, or do you basically, if I buy a ticket, I can just go and decide to talk about whatever I want to talk about for a period of time?
It's pretty much like that. You put it on the calendar, it displays immediately. The only thing that we'll remove is obvious spam or obvious vulgarity, but if it's just something we don't agree with, that's it's still going to be on the schedule and somebody else might be interested in it. So yeah, it's we have the calendar set up so you just add the event and it displays immediately. So it makes for really dynamic, constantly changing calendar that's actually pretty cool to check out. Oh,
That
and then
sounds
there's
like-
also the fact that you can, when you add an event, you can also, we have the capability that we didn't have last year, is you can add tickets for those events. A lot of things have costs, like Scuba has costs, but also some people, like Larkin Rose, for example, is planning on doing a Candles in the Dark with a ticket through our website, through Anarchaforko. So, you know, it gives people like him the capability to do that, but also people who are doing, say, a workshop where they do crafts, the ability to cover the costs of what, you know, each person would do.
That's really interesting.
A lot of-
Are there certain types of ideas or types of people you hope to get to join this, like from an international?
Anybody that's just trying to live a freer life and see what that's about, you know, a lot of people are trying to find economic freedom. A lot of people are just trying to find freedom in general.
Nice.
And
Okay.
it's beyond that, like, we want a diversity of people, everybody from, you know, physical workers to musicians to writers to farmers to, you know, we want everybody so we can, you know, maybe learn something new.
Yeah, have commingling ideas. So how long does the conference last? I saw it was a few days, but then there was a mention I saw somewhere that it could last longer than just the 3 or 4 days.
Well, the idea, like, one of our goals was to highlight Acapulco and the city of Acapulco specifically. So any events that happen in the month kind of around those dates, the 22nd to the 24th of February, could count as Anarchaforko events. These could be parties. Last year we had a scuba event and a children's day that was like after the main event.
Yeah, kind of what we have envisioned is the main event, from the 22nd to the 24th, being like an anchor event that brings more people into town and keeps people in the area. And from that on, like from the week and a half before and the month after, there'll be all kinds of other things going on. And from that point, our website is kind of like a networking tool. So those people that don't want to use Facebook or whatever still have a way of getting a hold of everybody and making plans in town.
So
Yeah, that's one of our big complaints about the anarchist community is they do a lot of stuff on Facebook.
it's really interesting. Facebook often people shy away from. I was wondering, like, so what was the connection to, like, the story of how Anarchaforko got started? And also, what was the connection with SmartCash? That seems like an interesting side philosophy SmartCash cares about, you know, libertarian and free lives and everything like that. But how did it get connected to Anarchapulco and Anarchaforko?
Well, last year we were contacted actually by a SmartCash representative and eventually got in contact with GCG, and he was very supportive of the idea and what we were trying to do. So SmartCash basically sponsored us in full last year, other than our own, you know, smaller private donation that we did ourselves to get the thing started. But they're the reason we had that amazing area last year, which the main point of that was to prove that Anarchapulco didn't outgrow Acapulco. There is, you know, it's not very easy at all to outgrow the venue that we had last year. It was, you know, obviously huge, and several other places in that same complex that could be expanded into, you know. And the city of Acapulco is amazing. So that's part of why we forked.
Okay, and what's the connection to the city? Is there a history in this sort of philosophy with the city?
It's geographical, it's cultural, and in some ways it is historical because Acapulco is on the come up. It had kind of a rough patch there after, you know, a really great period. It went into a rough patch, and now it's coming out of that and going into a great period again. So
I think crypto can understand that sort of ebb and flow of success, certainly. Yeah. I have a question. So how many people who go to this really care about cryptocurrencies? Is it something they're new to, or is it something that they believe in? I see you do a lot of your media on Steemit, which is a crypto platform, but is there a marketplace that goes on during the event where people might actually use cryptocurrencies to exchange?
Well, that's the idea. one of our intended goals of this thing is to have a rich marketplace of both like locals and expats, and the idea is to have it set up so they're all accepting crypto. We have a lot of love for it in general. That's why we accept only cryptocurrency.
I think that's a really useful overview of this sort of approach to living, and how there's a blend of people using cryptocurrency to be independent, and then also taking that idea of decentralization, which is often used in very confusing ways, but in a way of a conference, it makes sense. It's sort of like a wiki conference where people can submit their own ideas and participate. Often conferences are just one half someone organizes everything, everyone else are participants who just sort of observe it or try to network. But this sounds like a really neat way to sort of let people participate in their own ideas in their own way and sort of experiment with ways of living in these formal gatherings.
Yeah, that's exactly our goal with it. We want to give people the opportunity to sculpt the experience they want out of Anarchaforko. Some people do like to just come and, absorb and learn and see what's going on experience, but some people really want to kind of show what they have to offer, and they're not always easily given a chance to do that at these bigger conferences. So that's our goal, is to give them that chance.
Is there any connection to like events such as Burning Man? I feel like that maybe has some similar sort of idea of a gathering for a while and some sort of pop-up community. Is that connected at all in the philosophy or worldview of Anarchaforko?
I personally have not been to Burning Man. I have friends that have, and I've had friends that have compared it to it, like kind of like a Burning Man in the city, but I think it's going to be in some ways, as it grows, more formal than that, because we're going to have a lot of economists, they're going to have a lot of techies coming in that are, that care about crypto and just care about, decentralization and freedom in general. So I don't think it's just going to, I think the crowd will be a little different, so it'll be more of a marketplace.
Burning Man started more as like a art festival and has kind of grown into other things, whereas we're starting more of like a classic agora where it's like a meeting of a marketplace, exchange of ideas, people advertising religions, people doing all kinds of different things in one place, and all of those different activities kind of reinforce each other.
Yeah, people trying to spread their brand, whatever. It's all what people want to do so long as they're not hurting anybody, and it leads to some pretty interesting stuff.
At the first Anarchaforko, is there an example of an event, of something that happened, an event or an experience or someone you met that sort of symbolizes like what you're hoping to achieve with this one in February? Just to sort of give context and sort of an example.
Well, last year I made a friend. Well, one of the goals was to attract, because we can't exactly travel, so we, want to attract more people like ourselves to Acapulco, partially because we love the city and we want to bring more good people, especially entrepreneurial people here. And last year, one of our intended goals was to attract more people like ourselves, so we put ourselves out there, and I ended up with one really good friend that this year I'll be collaborating with pretty heavily at the Fork. She'll probably be selling things. We'll probably be doing a workshop together. And it's, a connection that I made last year that was pretty awesome. And there were a lot of things like that last year. I have, friends that hooked up on the other side of the planet together because they had met at the Fork.
One of the things we were really going for is something we kept hearing at all of the Anarchapulcos we attended before creating Anarchaforko, was what people truly enjoyed at these events was not the speeches or what was going on necessarily. It was the networking that they were doing. It was the long nights in the bar talking to the speakers and the cool people at night and all of that. So that's really what we're trying to focus on with our event. We're not trying to have a speaker be stressed out that they're about to give a speech, or in general just be not focused on networking. Like, the goal of this is making connections, exchanging ideas, anarchists meeting anarchists.
Trading and selling things. Yeah, we want people trading and selling things too. To be clear, it's a marketplace. We want people to make money off of it. We want people to make money off of selling tickets. That we always encourage everybody to do, because it is a great way to make money.
Okay. So if someone wants to get involved with this and they're hearing what you're saying right now and they say, hey, I like this idea, I want to try it out, what should they do next to get involved?
They go to anarchaforko.com and they purchase a ticket. That ticket will give them the ability to add events and access to the affiliate marketing program. For more serious people, we do make special coupon codes, so that'll give people a discount and still give you credit with or without the link to increase sales. So that's something that people have to contact us for, though. But other than that, it's just deciding what you want to do, putting it on the calendar if you're going to, promoting it, or just promoting the event in general.
If you need our assistance in anything, contacting us, and we'll work with you to help put on the event any way we can.
We like to answer questions, so feel free to bother us with any questions you may have. And
I have one question. It's kind of a side topic.
Okay.
I'm a foodie, so like, what's the best food dish you got last year? Because this might convince some more people to show up.
Well, we had everything last year from the range of the Loco Verde vegan option, which is a local establishment that accepts cryptocurrency that was popular with a lot of the vegetarian and vegans.
They're at Anarchapulco every year.
They're also at Anarchapulco every year. And then in general, our conference was surrounded by like one of the more densely populated parts of the city. So you had probably 200 restaurant options within walking distance, everything from very expensive highbrow restaurants to places where you can get good food for $2.
And can you pay with crypto at those?
The crypto options are still kind of limited in the city, but the food is Verde Vegan is an option where you can pay with crypto. There's a few restaurants, awesome, but it's still rather limited.
Thanks for fielding that question.
Yeah, I guess one thing I'd like to talk a little bit about is if you could each spend a couple minutes just describing your own personal journey where you ended up wanting to start an event like this. Like, why are you personally doing this? What's driving you to make an agorist marketplace of ideas that people visit?
Well, for me personally, it starts with I've been coming to an understanding that the only way we can really change the world in the way we want to is to just try and do things differently. I ask myself that question a lot because I'll admit 5 years ago I didn't necessarily expect to be doing this, but every day I find more and more reasons why it's a good idea. Everything from people crave the decentralization to people crave Acapulco to people just want a cheaper option to Anarchapulco. Like I'm bombarded with reasons every day. But it was a long descent into anarchy and going against the state and living in Acapulco and loving it here and seeing how we could do things differently.
On the cheaper option to Anarchapulco front, I think it's worth pointing out for the current price of an Anarchapulco ticket, you can buy our ticket and get the cost of the hotel for the 3 days. All inclusive, get like free alcoholic drinks and your meals and everything included for the same price as their main conference ticket. So it's a really good value. It's a great way to come down and enjoy the city and network with some great people.
Sometimes it is good being the less expensive option when there is certainly a premium for the other one. One of the other things I wanted to touch base, though, is your personal histories, if you don't mind getting into that at all. Like, where did you come from, and was there anything big in your life that made you realize, what I'm doing is wrong? We need to be more voluntarist or agorist, more intentional living this way.
I personally got involved in drug policy in college pretty much as soon as I got into college. So I was trying to legalize weed, but then I realized it was just a big party. I couldn't change anything through the system. Soon after, I found Ron Paul, and then soon after, I was in a tumbling descent towards voluntarism, where I've been comfortably resting since.
Anything you want to add to that, John?
I had a bit of a different experience. I was actually somebody who was sent to prison in the United States over drug policy, essentially. But I actually wasn't convicted of a crime, and I ended up serving over 4 months in prison without being convicted, and then I was withdrawn to court and having all of my stuff dismissed at that point. And it was just a really weird experience, and I was already pretty anti-authoritarian and libertarian-leaning before all that. And in prison, I read some books at the recommendation of my lawyer, like Machiavelli's The Prince, and How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie, and just kind of put me towards like the philosophy end of things rather than just the instinctual understanding that something was off.
That's excellent. No, it's really good. I think it's important that people hear personal stories of how people ended up in this life, because so many of us feel quite alone in our philosophy because the people around us, tolerate our ranting sometimes, but that's about it. So it's good to have other personal experiences and realize that other people have at least gone through a similar path. Yeah, I think that probably covers it. Is there anything else you two have a dying need to say about either yourselves or Anarchaforko or cryptocurrency in general?
Anarchaforko is only as awesome as we make it, so we need you to get involved today and start helping us make this thing the best thing it can be.
Yeah, we need help promoting, spreading the word. If you like the idea, roll with it. If you have something you want to share, even if it's weird, go for it, because the weird things did the best last year.
As we close up here, just do another quick, where can people find you and where can people learn more about Anarchaforko, and then we'll sign off.
I can be found mainly on Steemit and on Facebook and on Instagram, but on Facebook I'm Lily Forrester, Steemit at Lily Divine, anarchaforko.com with an A, so anarchaforko.com is where you can find all sorts of information. We have the story from why we forked to how to get involved to where to buy tickets, how to add stuff to the schedule, links, everything.
And I'm John Galton on Facebook, or Dreddy John Galt on Steemit or Instagram.
Excellent, guys. Thank you very much. Thanks for your time today. This was a lot of fun. I hope to see you down there in a few months.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you. Learned a lot.
Sounds good.